All right, guys. Hey, thanks for joining me today. It is day 2, quote unquote, on putting this sled together. And this is the first time I have actually dedicated a setup for drag racing. Anytime I have ever just done some impromptu drag racing with some buddies at the lake was my normal speed run sled setups where you had very little traction. You only ran 144 picks and kind of taller gearing. And so weekend of drag racing, and then the next weekend is one radar run for the year, and then I'll re-gear for that and then re-clutch for that. But I'm kind of nervous. I hope it all works out. I'm waiting on a couple little pieces to show up. I don't know if I'm going to have any test and tune time before the lake, before the race up there. So I might be off on the sides up there that morning, doing some polls by myself just to dial it in. We'll see. All right, so one little thing I was taught to do many 20 years ago by a couple of old racers that used to set world records when they were young was to index your helixes. So we start at the tip, as close to the tip as we can without causing a hiccup or a snag. The snag might interfere with clutching, but more than likely your motor at that gear ratio is just going to pull it right through, and all you're going to do is just chew the crap out of your buttons. So it's super simple. You'd literally just take some chalk or a marker, some permanent marker, and you'd paint that tip. So now what we're going to do is just push on it, and there's a little snag right there. I would be tempted to put one washer under that snap ring to move away from the tips a little bit. 1 or 2 washers would move you quite a bit. And if you have one that's starting way down here, then you would machine the back of that helix off to get closer to the tip. So I don't know if that's a good tip or not. It's what I do, but all right, keep moving. All right, so swapping out primary springs. Speed running, I personally like a lower engagement for a smoother launch, less chance of blowing the track out from underneath you, and you're not just stabbing it on a radar run anyhow. At least I don't. And so I don't mind a very light spring. This is an old Storm. Look at that poor old thing. It's an old Storm primary spring. This would be my AN yellow. They look very similar, except the yellow is dramatically heavier. It's a 180/380. So a very high start rate, a very high finish rate, but the travel rate isn't that ridiculous, so it still gives a very smooth, nice shifting. I've actually had a lot of luck speed running with this spring in the past, and it boggled my own mind, like how is that possible? But we're gonna put this in for drag to give me a higher launch RPM and potentially pull a little more weight, or at least hold that big helix back a little bit. I'm getting nervous. I always get nervous. Whew. Did I mix the oil right? Did I remember every one of them last bolts? Did I get this or that properly? Just a personal torture. All right, pipes are kind of in. This will be the last year on these pipes. They've been cut apart and resized and refitted. to so many different projects that we'll start over with new pipes next year. The engine will re-Nicosil next year. The chassis will strip down and paint and start over. But so all new gearing to me. Clutching is all new clutching to me. A monster helix I've only attempted to put in. I've never really ran it. So I don't know where we're going to be at on clutching. I still got to do the suspension yet. I still got to drop that nose down and adjust that rear bar back there. Yeah, so it's full weight. I haven't put anything lightweight. And yeah, let's fire it up, see if she comes alive, and see what happens. Well, how's she sound? I like it. Yeah. Just got to get it on the ice. What do I got left? Suspension work. And I'm missing a couple picks. So I just got to put a couple picks in. And set it on the ice and give it a try. I like. Yeah, sounds pretty nice.